All right, so let's see. Give me a moment. I'm just gonna sort this out on my laptop as well. But we're doing a live today. Um, for those of you that are tuning in, basically it's just it's in the moment thing. So this is recording live. But if you're watching in a past tense, it's past tense. Uh, you never know. But we're live now. So who's on here? I'm sure someone's here. Um, some backstory. I've been pretty busy, and I am trying to play catch up with everything. How's everybody doing? And give me a sec. I'm just loading this up on my computer. It takes a little bit of time here to sort this out. Okay. Oh, and we're sideways too. How about that? Oh, and we're sideways too. How about that? How do I fix that? Oh, and we're sideways too. How about that? How do I fix that? Oh, and we're sideways too. How about that? I'm totally noobing out on this right now. Cancel. Hello. Fixed. Yeah, but it's vertical now, right? So how do I change that? All right, well, whatever. We're doing vertical. I'll just flip it like that. Let's see. Try to set this up somewhere. I got a spot for it. Hang on. This has totally thrown me off base. I've never started a live and it gone into a vertical format like that, and I guess it was just how I had the phone oriented right off the get-go. So that's it. That's it. So you're gonna have to watch this on your phone. Hey Craig, how are you, man? There we go. And there we go. I love this magnetic phone mount because I can just stick it like that in different places on in my van, like, you know, places like it's like one of these, see? So these things here, they just stick on those metal places and then it's perfect. Oh, all right. So yeah, I'm behind schedule. I bit off more than I could chew, and I have a habit of doing this sometimes in my life, and I'm in it right now. I'm aware that I'm in it, and it sucks. And I realize how I kind of tumble on my own actions when I do that sort of thing. Sorry, too many ums. I'm trying to say less ums too, and I keep catching them when I'm editing a video on my computer, and I'm going, man, I gotta read more books and sort that out. That being said, I can be my own worst critic. Recording yourself on video and then watching yourself on replay, you really pick up a lot of little innuendos about yourself, and I didn't even realize I stuttered until I started making videos, and then I was like, oh, okay, gotta fix that too, I suppose. Anyway, I hope everybody's doing well, and I hope summer's upon you wherever you are. Summer is definitely upon me here, and I'm in a tank top now. It's quite pleasant out at the moment. In any case, I don't quite have a video for you right now because the one that I'm editing is a real big edit. It's the tools video that I promised to share with you guys. So I went out and I filmed a full tools video on the tools that I carry in van life, and I'm hoping that by sharing all that I can help some of you guys that may be getting started, or if you're already in van life or you're doing overlanding or camping and any of that sort of stuff. It's an idea just to pass along some information, and I'm sure there's going to be some feedback from some of you guys that are going to watch that, that we can I can make improvements to my kit as it is, and maybe share a better video down the road about that sort of thing. But in general, the content that I've been sharing with you guys mostly has been what I call ride-along content. It's like you're coming with me on these trips and I'm doing these things and you're sort of seeing what I'm up to. And it's great and all, and I love doing it. I think that's my default way of sharing things, but I'm really trying to practice getting to share some more practical stuff with you guys as well, because 3.5 years in the van and this kind of lifestyle, and also the tools and working with my hands and sewing and you know, hunting, fishing, now free diving and spearfishing, although that's pretty, I don't have a ton to say about that just yet, as far as like passing on words of, you know, experiences and that kind of thing. But in a way, I want to be able to give back a bit more and share some positive information with you guys. Yeah, that's it. That's my goal. Anyway, so if you got some questions, you want to hit me up, hit me up. I know there's been a lot since I've done my last live stream. We are in a vertical format. For those of you that are just chiming in, it's just how I started this thing off, and we're gonna roll with it. So that's it. Oh yeah. Oh, Rachel, good to see you in here. You finally made it. Rachel, you've been trying to get on my lives forever. You finally got on one. Oh, that's great. And Sandy, good to see you too. I was just in the store. I got myself a melon, summer melon. So I'll have that at some point. I just had an inkling to get one of these, and there you go. Sandy, you guys, is she works in the grocery store in Chemainus, and she watches the channel, and every now and then I see her in there, and she's really nice to talk to when I go through the checkout and just see what she's up to. And I love, that being said, I love meeting you guys in the wild, and that does happen from time to time, and that's pretty special when it does. Yeah. So, I can't believe it. All right, Joshua Glenn Dinning. How many miles are on my van? Miles. Let's go. Hey Siri, how many miles are in 307,000 kilometers?
307,000 kilometers is 190,760.96 miles.
There it is. 307,000 kilometers, or roughly 10,000 miles. It's still going pretty good, although I can tell the engine is tired. It has an odor out of the pipe, like an older motor. I think it's burning a little bit rich. It's not as clean as it used to be. The compression is probably definitely not there as much, and I'm pretty sure I would get much better fuel mileage with a newer motor in the vehicle. My friend Chris, who I've been hanging out with a little bit this summer, has the same van as mine. It's a newer generation, but it's a Dodge Grand Caravan. It's a slightly different motor. He gets an incredible mileage out of his minivan compared to mine. Mind you, I am carrying around quite a bit more weight, and but we went on a road trip the other day, which would have cost me $200 in fuel, and it cost us $50 in fuel in his. There was a little bit of a cheat in that too, and that is that his vehicle is a flex fuel vehicle, so it'll burn E85, which is an ethanol blend fuel that has a little bit of gas in it, but it's mostly ethanol. And right now, if you can find that stuff, it is cheaper than gasoline, and he's able to fuel up with that sort of thing. So that when we've gone on a couple road trips lately where we've done some diving together, and instead of taking my van out, I just parked it at his house, and we just took his van off for a road trip for the day. And it was great because I went diving in like Port Renfrew and like other areas, and it was like, you know, $10, $20. There was 4 or 5 of us in the vehicle at some time, so it was really cheap. That being said, if I were to put a new motor in this vehicle at this point, I would really look into the flex fuel options and seeing if I could get something that could go in here that I could burn E85 fuel, and there might even be a way that I could burn it with the current engine that I have, but the engine that I have is pretty tired too. But I just, you know, I'm gonna try to ride this one out as long as I can as well. Yeah, Sandy, I'll see you in there again soon, I'm sure. I am in town for a few more days. I got some stuff at the shop that I'm sorting out, and then hopefully, I do know that I got to go back up island to shoot another video for EcoFlow. We have a sponsorship. You guys saw the last video, so you kind of put that one together. So I got a couple short little presentations that I've got to add in some videos coming up in the future. But I really like their their battery system. And the next one I really want to talk about it in the context of van life, because that unit really surprised me quite a bit up at Steven's cabin. And I was thinking, man, this thing would be, it's like, it was just it was almost as powerful as the electrical system in my van in terms of the volume of battery capacity availability, because I've got two AGM batteries that are 100 amp hours each, and I can only really use 100 amp hours out of that, and my batteries are in poor condition. Like, they're not in great condition, and that EcoFlow just had a lot more oomph for a much smaller package than what I've got in my van currently, and that was pretty surprising to me. But anyway, more on that later. Yeah, so that's that'll be coming up, that little up island bit. But I'm playing catch up on a lot of different things. I've made some commitments, and I've just got to follow through on them. But I'm in good health. I'm having fun. I came back from an amazing weekend this past weekend, and that's why I'm behind schedule, because I spent 4 days off grid, off of cell service, and I just enjoyed. I relaxed. It was amazing. I can't wait to share it. It's going to be a really fun video. I thought of maybe doing it in 2 videos, but I might just make it a really long video. That one's going to be visiting Savory Island. It's on the inside passage between Vancouver Island and the mainland, but it's kind of on par with Powell River or Lund. It's close to where Lund is, actually. But we went over we took a water taxi over from Campbell River to it. Amazing island. I got lots of sun, and it was great medicine. Like, really, really good medicine. So yeah, that being said, that took a dent, or I don't know. It took a toll on like my usual workflow, and that's why I'm a little bit behind schedule. But it was an opportunity I couldn't pass up. It was an amazing trip. Yeah. All right, we're hanging out. Sandy's just saying, yeah, hanging out watching Joseph right now. There's a little chat going on in here. MDD, yeah, Savory Island is amazing. It blew me away. Sure, it gets some pretty hefty winds up there. It's in this like tunnel of inside passage ocean. It gets really windy in that area, both from the north and the south, but often it's coming up from the south, and it's a little bit more sheltered if the winds are coming from the north, but it can get pretty windy, and it's just an island that is almost completely surrounded by sandy beaches. It was just out of this world beautiful, and we had amazing weather the whole time that we were there. Couldn't have asked for a better place, and the venue that we stayed at was incredible, and I can't wait to share the video that sort of is going to encapsulate and illustrate the whole thing. Donna Baker, thank you very much for the super chat. It means so much, especially right now. Times are definitely tight, and that means a lot to me. And so thank you so much. That is great. Do you have any, like, share a question, Donna? If you have any questions or anything else you want to say, let me know. But thank you so much for that. That's awesome. I can't believe, like, I know there's a lot of really great things that have been going on lately, but uh, I've been feeling ever so closer. I'm still debt free, but I've been teetering on the edge of that lately, and I'm feeling the pressure. I'm thinking my saving grace and my savior of all of this is going to be to just well, try and actually do a couple things, because I talked about foraging and eating wild foods, and I'm still buying a few things in the grocery store, and I'm thinking, well, once upon a time I spent an entire summer eating nothing but wild foods, and I'm not saying I'm going to do that this summer because I've got some other plans, but in the interim I could do that very thing. And I definitely have a way of catching more seafood out of the ocean right now too, so that's definitely it's like full circle. It's going to be doable and fun. Let's see. Jesus, I love you too, man. I love you too, Jesus. Jesus says that he loves me. I love you too, Jesus. I'm glad you're here, and yeah, it's cool to hang out. Mike McKinley, man, good to see you. I haven't seen you in a long time. How are things in Ontario? I know a little bit because I keep in touch with my mom. She's in Perth. We talk a fair bit. I was chatting with her earlier today, and she may not be in Perth for too long. Actually, she's thinking about they might be doing a little bit of a move coming up here, but staying in Ontario. Not sure where they're going exactly, but just something like that. Laura, that's pretty funny. Somehow you tuned into my live stream, it sounds like, just by mistake, and then here we are. It's good to have you here. Donna Baker, am I ever coming to the States? Love watching you. I will definitely. I have intentions to go to the States. I don't. I just. It's not on the agenda right now, Donna. I'm focused on trying to catch up on all these like things that I overextended myself on right now, and get my ass over to Bali so I can see my daughter. That's the biggest priority. Oh, sweet. I get to show you guys something. If it walks by, I'll definitely show you, but there's a buck. Just like, I'm looking at a buck right now that's like looking at me, wondering if it should walk this way any further. He's got little things. Yeah, he's coming this way, so you guys get to see him. Here we go. Oh, he's a good looking deer. So I don't know if you can see those dark patches on the back of his back legs there on the inside. Those are the scent glands in there. He's a bit nervous. He knows he knows we're watching him. He's probably gonna lie down right over there somewhere. So this particular spot, he's kind of far right now. He's still looking over. He's like, what am I doing over there? It's all good, bud. Yeah. He's lying down right now. That's it. And he's just gonna chill there like hours, and wouldn't be surprised if I see a couple more. There's usually like a family of deer that come through this area, and they just park themselves over there, and every now and then when I come and stay at this spot, I get to see them, and it's pretty nice. Gives this place a lot more atmosphere. That's cool. Sharing the wild moment. Wendy Lee. Oh, thank you, Wendy. Holy smokes, that's awesome. That's super great. That feels so awesome. Thank you, Wendy, for the super chat and the super sticker. I really appreciate it. And I really appreciate the other one from Donna Baker. Thank you both. It was really good. And Donna, yeah, according to, sorry, going to the States, I think, I don't know, like I might do a little short trip, but it's not going to be anywhere close, like, or sorry, far. Like it would just be like down to Point Roberts. My friend Chris Sampson, he lives in Tawasin. He does a lot of beach diving over at in Point Roberts, and there's a possibility I might join him on a trip out that way. But it's also unlikely, and I'm sure the States is something that maybe I might fit in. I don't know, when I have a little bit more flexibility financially to be able to move around a little bit. And it would be good to go down there. I'd actually like to do a full trip all the way down to Mexico too, and just kind of like go down the coastline. I have a friend in Mexico that he's already been on the channel a little bit. His name's Adriano. He bought a place down there, and he's extended the invitation for me to come down and see him. And I'd love to do that too, and then do some diving down in that area. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Oh, Sandy, thank you. When your garden comes in, I'll share with me. Thanks. I'd love that. I'd love to see a picture of your garden. So take some pictures and share those with me when I'm in the store. That'd be good to see. I was listening to this thing this morning. My friend Lonnie sent me a video that was it was kind of interesting, actually. The first part of it had me a little bit like on edge, because I was like, I don't know, it's one of these like anti-vegan videos. But let's see if I can find my watch history and find it here. But there was a compelling argument in it that I thought was pretty interesting, and I don't know, I just feel like talking about it right now. And I'm not anti-vegan or anything like that, and I can't find the video. Okay, here it is. Okay, this one right here, second one, it's like, it's not really in focus, but that one there, it's called episode 264, Proof That Plants and Veganism is Not a Human Diet. He kind of had this whole discussion about how plants are trying to kill us, and I watched a couple other videos on that, and I just thought that was totally bogus. There are things within plants that, of course, are there as a deterrent to prevent animals and stuff like that from doing it, but some of these guys have taken that way off to the very extreme, I think. And I thought that's where this guy was going, but that's just how he started his conversation out with, and I was like, yeah, that's all fine. And I think, but a little bit of plants in the diet is actually really good, especially wild plants. And there's a lot out there that are really good, I feel like. But he was saying a lot of them are just like poisonous, and we're not supposed to eat them, and we should all just eat meat. And then his other side of the argument was pointing out that a lot of the plants that we buy in the store and grow in our gardens and we grow on our farms, they never existed like 200 years ago. They've all been, in a way, engineered through different forms of botany and genetic engineering. And you're saying like a lot of this stuff is like the plants were just made to become carbohydrate rich, and so that they taste better, and then they're high in carbohydrates, and we're consuming more of those. And high carbs has never really been a part of our diet as like a Paleolithic kind of diet for a long time. So all that stuff was kind of new, and I thought, well, that part of the argument is actually pretty sound, and it's hard to argue with that. But it got me thinking about wild plants and plants in general, and different forms of diets and that kind of thing. And then I was on this other video that I watched, and it was about this new thing called Appeal, which is this product that I don't know which company is making this, but it's this kind of spray coating that they're putting on, that they're going to be putting on fruits and vegetables in the near future, that will make the fruits and vegetables last longer. It's kind of like putting a plastic wrapper around an avocado so it lasts 2 weeks longer on the shelf. It raises some interesting questions, because we're like, what is it made of? What's in it? What's going to be the long-term effects? But it's all FDA approved at this point. But none of this information is transparent, and obviously there's somebody behind this that's going to make a lot of money. And it's just kind of weird. And I wish I wish we had access to the information, and I wish we lived in a society where information was more transparent and we shared things collectively. And we weren't necessarily profit motivated, but we were more motivated towards really helping each other out with through compassion and love and sharing the information, because I think we'd be a lot further along than we are if we were not caught up with some of the things we get caught up with. Anyway, it's a bit of a rant, but coming back around to plants and stuff, it sort of made me think like maybe I should really just go out and eat some wild foods and show you guys like how to do that. And yeah, I don't know, but I don't. There's a part of me also that's like I don't know if I want to really do that either. Like I want to share that stuff, but I also don't want to share some information that maybe some of you guys interpret it the wrong way, and you go out and eat something that you shouldn't eat, and then get sick, or you know, worse yet, get seriously sick, because there are some plants out there that are very dangerous, and you don't want to mess with them at all. So it really pays to educate yourself, and I think maybe I'll just kind of advocate the education component as much as I can. Laura, thank you. Saying the diving videos have been amazing. Really appreciate that. I know the diving content is new on the channel, and I was wondering if maybe some of that stuff was not as interesting to the main audience. And so I felt like I should probably do some more just lifestyle videos of me in the van, living, and maybe include a little bit of diving here and there when I go out to catch some fish for dinner or something. But I've been diving my face off, and I love it. It's absolutely breathtaking and amazing, and literally breathtaking. I was like, hold your breath and down you go. But it's so much fun, and there's something like this real serenity to it, of just like, there's a chaos to it, but there's a serenity to it as well. And the serenity is just this like you know, when I'm floating on the water, on the surface, and I'm like looking down, sometimes I can see where I'm going to dive to if it's really good visibility. Other times I can't see where I'm going, but I'll see like little things floating in the water, like jellyfish and little like plankton and fish and weird things, and I'll just be like staring at all that stuff, and everything is always moving and breathing. It's this living thing. It's like this liquid that is full of life, and I'm in it, totally relaxed, just floating there, breathing quietly, waiting for my heart rate to sink down, waiting for, you know, my nerves to go down, and then getting ready to take my big deep breath and then do a duck dive. And I've been practicing my duck dives so that I can dive deeper and more effectively, and then just relax. And then sometimes on the way down, that's where I work the most. It's probably where most of the effort is so far in my experience. And then once I get down to about 10 meters, that's where I have neutral buoyancy. So when I let go and I relax, I just float there, and I don't float up to the surface, and I don't go down. If I'm diving shallower than that, I really have to fight to stay down. So sometimes the footage at shallower levels, it's kind of shaky, but once I get down to 10 meters, it's really, really chill. And then if I go below that, then I start sinking down further. And that's kind of fun, just to, like, you know, at about 12 meters or so, just to lay on the bottom and like look around, and it's quiet. It's pretty cool. I love it. Really love it. Yeah, it's really amazing, and it's hard to capture that, but I'll try to share some of that stuff in the future. Maybe through like a voiceover or something, like a special video just dedicated to that kind of thing. But yeah. Oh yeah. Let's see. I gotta catch up on some of these. I'm sure there's some other questions in here. Oh, Nomad Post. Thanks for posting my Patreon, dude. That's awesome. And Craig Betts too. So yeah, basically, just reference, you guys, I have a Patreon account. I might make some modifications to it. I've been thinking about this. I have the limit set to $5 a month. And I know there's been a lot of people that have not joined because of that reason. And the reason I set it at $5 a month is because Patreon is a platform where if you become a member of Patreon, you can send me a direct message. And I thought, if I put my limit at $1 a month and I have a whole bunch of you go on there, there's no way that I'll be able to keep up with all that stuff. And I already struggle as it is to keep up with some of the messages on there. And I feel bad when I can't get to them. And I don't know, maybe I'm just trying to avoid something like that. But at the same time, I share some stuff on my Patreon that I don't necessarily share with YouTube, and it would be nice to be able to extend that out there. So I've been thinking about maybe dropping the bar a little bit, especially also because it's been, I know, it's been a trying time financially for a lot of people. At least locally, I've noticed the price of food has gone up. There's been a lot of different pressures going on, and I'm sure this isn't the only place. But I was thinking about maybe making that a little bit more accessible. So, but that being said, if I do that, there's going to be a point where I just going to have to get comfortable with maybe not being able to keep up with everything, and just, you know, some things are just going to have to go. And I hate to say this, but there's some comments even in YouTube that I get, and I read them and I go, oh, and sometimes I'm like in the middle of sitting in a car with somebody and I read this thing and I'm like, oh, I want to reply to this, or you know, there's something very interesting there, or that was a beautiful comment, and then you know, we get somewhere, I got to get up and go do something else, and one thing leads to another, and I forget about it, and days go by, and I'm like, oh, you know, I forgot about that, and then there's more that come in, and it's kind of a weird problem to have, but yeah, I don't know, it's just kind of goes the way it goes, I guess. I suppose that's you know, something that happens with YouTubers, and I don't want to say that like woe is me kind of thing. If you've been following my channel for a long time, you know I started this whole thing off coming from a place that I was working through some very challenging things, and I've grown a lot since then. So, and I'm going to keep growing. I'm going to keep working at it. But I'm not struggling as much as I was struggling when I started this YouTube channel out. Emotionally, spiritually, physically, I'm in a much better place, and I've been working hard at that. And hopefully that's been also an inspiration too for some of you guys that have been following. At least that's been my my intention about being so transparent and being able to share that stuff as well. Yeah, Stephanie Watkins, you like the thumbnail? I did this one where I was like, I had the phone flipped the other way. I'm struggling. That's why we're in vertical format. I had the phone flipped the other way, and I was like looking at like, what the heck are you doing? Like, that's not how the thumbnail should be taking a thumbnail. And it got this like scowled look on my face. And then I was trying to redo it, and I wasn't looking at the lens, and then I was just like, screw it. So there you go. No one's gonna recognize me. Is this guy his eyeball? Oh, Donna, thanks a lot. Yeah, Chrome and Emmy, and will love to support me as well. I'll see what I can do with the whole Patreon thing. I'll chat with my community. At the same time as lowering the bar, like, I don't want to also offend anybody that's joined my Patreon at the $5 mark where they're kind of stretching themselves to be there. But at the same token, it's like I think they'll be able to make some adjustments on their own accord. The main thing is like Patreon is it's a way for for anybody to support me a little bit more with some more financial value, and that goes a really long way because it helps pay for things like gas and camera equipment when it fails, or upgrades and stuff like that, and just the day-to-day stuff that goes on behind the scenes. It is like I'm making this a full-time job for me, and and it's not paying me full-time income. And I'm not saying that anybody owes me anything, and I'm not looking for any handouts. The most important thing is I want all of you guys to look after yourselves. Only do that kind of thing if you're like, you know, you feel a calling to do so. And through my Patreon, I also share like posts and updates. Sometimes I fall behind on it, but in the odd time I do like a special video that I don't share on YouTube. They have a video feature, so sometimes I've shared footage on there that just doesn't make it to YouTube, which is just a little bonus content. And yeah, it's a good little thing. Um, uh, yeah, I guess we struck up a bit of conversation about like holistic nutrition and yeah, food and stuff through that conversation about plants. Mindful forest adventures, I absolutely agree with you. There definitely needs to be more education. I think that is such a high value thing, and I think education like should be, you know, like if you look at the model, the real model for science, it it's sort of it it alludes to the fact that we'll never truly really know anything, and everything is always under question in a sense. I think there was like maybe one thing I've been trying to like every now and then I wrestle with this, and I think like what is the most absolute conclusive thing that humans have like answered, you know, through observation. And I was like, well, gravity is a pretty official rule. I keep going back to that one, but a lot of it is just speculation at best. I mean, we can get pretty close, but like the more we learn about something that we think we know what it is, sometimes we end up learning something about it that it kind of changes our whole understanding of it. And I've walked around a lot with that philosophy myself with just about everything that I know. And because of that, I've come across as a not very confident person in person. There's conversations where I have in group settings with other people where it's almost like the noisiest person, the loudest person, is the one that ends up claiming the role of a leader unofficially, but just kind of like people all turn to the loud one and they're like, well, we should do what he says because you know he's got the loudest voice or she's got the loudest voice. Like there's this presence about them that's kind of official. But I've been in situations like that where I'm just like, that person is gonna take us down a bad road. Like they have an absolute way of thinking that doesn't have any room for change. And you know, we need that. We need to be able to always change and basically get out of our own way and not be like so egotistical about things and just be like, yeah, I use this thing, it's been good, it's not the answer, but it works for me, there might be a better way. So I've tried to stay open to suggestive things, but at the same time, because I've carried that demeanor, I've also opened myself up to sometimes some dialogue that hasn't been very constructive, where someone's like, oh, I got a better way of doing it, and they share a way that maybe I've already messed around with quite a bit, and I've definitely worked out that it's not such a good way after all, and the way that I am doing it is more effective. But then again, doing things different ways is a very personal thing, and I try to let people do things the way they're comfortable with doing things, as long as it's safe. You know, they're not going to hurt themselves. That's more of like a kind of like a parenting style, I guess. But in any case, or a teaching style, something like that. Anyway, I love education. I think it's very important, and I'd love to see more of us working towards basically standing up for freedom of education, and I just think that is so important, and it needs to be transparent. It needs to be like science. It needs to be always under scrutiny and always under question. There can't be any absolutes. It's just, you know, we're always in a state of discarding what used to be understood for something that is now understood. And so it's in a state of constant change. And I think that's the only way that we can really coexist with the world and the, you know, the whole ecosystem that we live in. But yeah, you know, might take a while to get there. I don't know if that'll happen in my lifetime. In the meantime, seeing those jellyfish in the ocean and just kind of breathing and soaking in some of the spiritual aspects of this life is pretty important in my passing of it. Oh, Adam Young, that's a good question. What if you gotta poop while you dive? Well, if you're not wearing a wetsuit, I mean, you know, the ocean's there. The reality is I think there's places here. I think Port Renfrew. There's different spots that actually pump their sewage out into the ocean. It goes out through a pipe and that sort of thing. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's true. I know that those kind of systems are always under evolution and change, but some of them are, you know, they're in ports and stuff like that where it's just like, well, that's what's in place and that's what's been going on for years, and that's the case. There's lots of marinas where they're just dumping that stuff in the water. There's some marinas where they have hookups where they can actually take that stuff away and get rid of it elsewhere. So there's that, but you know, and the only thing wrong with about human poop in the water is, and I would say our pets, our domestic animals, is that the foods that we eat and the drugs that we take are sort of novel for the environment, and they go through our system and they end up out there. And I mean, wherever we leave it in the environment. So if you can be a cleaner person in terms of like what you eat and that sort of stuff, and be a bit more mindful about it, then you're polluting less in a sense. But nevertheless, like the drugs that we ingest, the pharmaceuticals, the food that we take in, it all ends up going back into the water supply at some point in time. And some of that stuff just gets dispersed in it. So, but pooping out while diving. So far, there's been a couple occasions where I've had to poop while being out diving. The first one was when I was up in with my friend Clayton. We were up spearfishing. I looked over at him and I was like, I gotta poop, and sorry, but I gotta go to shore. And I tried to swim to one spot, but the swell was like intense, and I was trying to get up on this rock, and I was like waiting, and I'd be like, okay, this looks like a good time, and then I go to get ready to get my fins off so that I could climb up, and then this wave would come and it would just be like, and I'd be like, next thing you know, I'm being rolled around upside down all these places, and then I'm like trying to hang onto my gear, and I'm going, this isn't working. Like I tried for like, you know, 10 minutes, and I'm like, I gotta go poop even more now. So we got on the boat and we found a calm little place, and I was able to climb ashore, get naked up there somewhere private, and do what I needed to do. And that was it. I didn't pack out my poop, but I did pack out my toilet paper. So that was it. That's so far. That's it. I've had to poop a couple other times. Other than that, there was a bathroom and outhouse nearby. One of them was when I was doing my diving course, and another time was during another dive. And it's sort of funny because sometimes you get in the water and you're like, yeah, I'm good. I tried to poop ahead of the dive, and you try, and then when you're diving and you're swimming down, the pressure builds up, and then you get down deeper and deeper, and you're like, oh, there it is. I gotta go. And then you swim back up to the surface. It goes away. You swim back down. It comes back. It's this weird up and down thing, and then eventually it's like, I got to deal with that. so that's that. Beach question, query: are you considering getting Instagram for my trips even? It's a good question. So this last trip to Savory Island was with 15 other divers, spear fishermen and women, and there was a bunch of them that are on Instagram. They're like, what's your Instagram? And I'm like, I got one, but I don't, it's like a dead account. I don't do anything with it, and I probably won't ever do anything with it, and it's not sharing the wild. That name was taken. But that being said, I don't think I'm going to put anything on Instagram. My vehicle is YouTube. I've chatted with my friend Chrome, who a lot of you guys know, Van City Van Life. He went down that rabbit hole for a while, and he pulled some analytics, and he was like, this is a ton of work, and it's not effective at driving people to YouTube. And he wasn't sure that I was even doing anything, but it was just like all this extra work. and the algorithm and the advertising campaigns and all that stuff that go on in Instagram. I don't like it. I don't like it. There's some things about Instagram that I do like, but yeah, I don't know. I get frustrated when I go on there and I'm just scrolling and I see a lot of ads. And that being said, on YouTube, I don't see any ads because personally I have a YouTube premium account. So every time I watch videos on YouTube, I see 0 ads. I just watch whatever I'm watching. And sometimes I don't realize that people are watching ads on my videos. So I forget about that sometimes. So that's Danny back there behind me. I was chatting with him last night. He's an artist. He's does some renovations. He's living in that trailer right now, and he does some renovation works in town, and he does glitter art actually. But it was we had a fun chat last night. Let's see what else we got in here. Yeah. Sorry guys, I went on the poop rant. Insanity's asking, heading to see my daughter soon. Conclusively, I can't say an answer because I don't have tickets yet, but I really imagine that I'm going to go see her soon. I wanted to go there earlier in April or early May, but that didn't work out for for the situation on my ex's side. So I had to wait, and she's like, let's look at this date instead. And the end of May, beginning of June, right around now, it's when the peak season is there. And I kind of put this off a little bit because I just wasn't exactly sure when I was going to be able to take care of a few things on my end before I could go. And right now the cost it's gone up quite a bit, so it's a little bit disturbing actually. But I don't know. I'm gonna have to do what I gotta do. Gotta go see my girl. But yeah, that's it. Oh, another question, Radio Man. How many miles on my van? So we answered this question earlier in the live, Radio Man. It is kilometers were 307,000 kilometers, which works out to 100 and just about 10,000 miles. Let's see. Yeah, just reading through some of your chats here. So, should be questions. Oh, okay. I wonder what this question's about. I think should be questions part of. I'm not sure what you mean, John Thomas. I got your question. You said we're talking about the education. I think that's what you're writing on about, because I was talking about education and the importance of it, and you're precisely right. Everything should be questioned as part of the scientific approach, except of course for gender identity or identify. Yeah, I don't know what you mean by that, but that could open up a can of worms on that subject, which is kind of a touchy subject these days. It's a very interesting time, and it's not a time to I don't know. It's a really interesting time. Definitely some interesting things going on, and I feel like because of that, in some senses, like it's almost like because there's some interesting things going on, it's almost like I have to formulate a little bit of a strategy, and I hate to say that because I don't like strategizing. I think that kind of sucks. They got to do that, but with certain subjects of sensitivity, mandates, uh, gender identification, the woke movement, all that stuff, like a cancel culture, there's, and I'm probably like, there's probably some algorithm out there that's like, oh, bing, 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 those are some words. We better listen to this conversation and maybe check out this guy's channel, make sure he's not saying anything we don't want him to say. Um, it's an interesting time, and in it, and I feel like in a way it's calling for a little bit of stratification or strategization, if you will. I was listening to this really interesting talk from Jordan Peterson lately about that, and he was talking about strategy with when it comes to this kind of thing and totalitarianism and how important it is to speak your truth, no matter what the cost. Because when we are in silence and we lie, we end up effectively not being honest with one another about the really true feelings that we feel for what's going on and stuff. Then if we are lying, then we are in a sense being possessed by the spirit of totalitarianism and that whole side of things. And that got me thinking about the whole idea of strategizing and being careful about what I say when things are in a sensitive time as they are now. And he was saying something about like having your eggs in multiple baskets and stuff like that to be able to deal with things. And I don't have multiple baskets going on right now. I just pretty much have this. I've got a skill set that I can fall back on. I've got multiple skill sets that I can fall back on, but that's not my calling, and that's not what I want to do. I do want to share some of that stuff though. Like I want to share my skill sets and being able to teach some of you guys some of the ways that I think about strategizing how to build a van, that kind of thing, just practical, useful stuff, and be able to share that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's a strange time, and yeah. That being said, you have to be solid with yourself, and that is opening up to a conversation that I really want to share with you guys for sure. And that's getting into like the kind of personal work that I've been working on through the last three years of, and sharing some of that stuff through YouTube in a kind of not really like explanatory sort of way, but more of like experiential sort of way. But I could get into it in more of an explanatory sort of way. Yeah. Justin may have. Do I still hang out with Chrome? I do. We see each other from time to time. We almost never. The last time I had my camera out, and I got a couple clips of him and Emmy, but they didn't have their camera out. And then I realized that it wasn't really in context with any of the videos that I was shooting, but it was just out of sheer habit of like pulling out the camera when I was hanging out with those guys. And in the times that we have hung out in the past, we often don't film it. We just hang out, and it's in a way it's kind of nice because it's just chill. It's relaxing. I know we talk about sometimes how our audiences want to see us hanging out and stuff, and he was saying that when he's done videos of like him and Emmy hanging out, I guess it stirs up a little bit of a conversation that maybe sets about a few triggers for each of them about their relationship. And so I think they've been maybe a little bit sensitive to that. I don't know if that's still the case, and I don't know if that's entirely accurate, but nevertheless, like when we hang out, we just been hanging out. That being said, I haven't really done any major hangouts with either of those guys in a while. I did chat with them. Well, we had lunch here in town a while ago, and that was really nice. And Emmy and Chrome were talking about their travels for the summer, and Emmy's already gone for the summer. She's recently left the island just yesterday, and I did want to meet up with her, but because I went to Savory Island just this past weekend, our timeline just didn't match up. Chrome's going to be around for a little while, so we are going to try to do something together, and hopefully we do. I'd like to see those guys again and hang out, but I quite honestly have quite a bit of other things going on that I just have to manage and make sure that I'm on top of those things before I do another leisurely kind of trip like the one I just did. But I would like to go up island and do that and maybe have a fire with Chrome while he's still here, and then he's gonna get on his thing for the summer. I'm gonna get on my thing for the summer, and then maybe we'll hang out again in the fall and the winter a little bit here and there. We're both invested physically on the island, so there's going to be more of that coming up in the future. He's got a shop, I got a shop, that kind of thing, so we're going to do stuff. But it was really good to see him the other day, and I miss him. I miss hanging out. Yeah. Chrome was talking about that a few videos ago. Oh, okay, he was talking about the screens that I made him. That's cool. Yeah, that's pretty much how I met Chrome. I met him at the place that we both get mail from, and I ended up getting a mailbox there because of him, through one of his videos, and it just happened to be the mailbox that was going to work for me, so I got the mailbox there, and then one day he was in there while I was in there, and we said hi, and he had baby Cruz at that point, little puppy Cruz, and he mentioned, he showed me his van, he was talking about bug screens on one of his videos, and I just said, by the way, if you still need someone to make bug screens, I said I can do that for you. I know how to sew, I've got all the equipment for it, and we made his bug screens up in Lillooet. There's some videos back there of us actually doing that very thing. But that's how we kind of hit it off. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, see, it's interesting. So I was chatting about Jordan Peterson a little while ago. Ginger says not a fan of Peterson. It's all good, Ginger. It's all good. I have friends that are not a fan of him. And then I've got somebody else in here who's saying Jordan Peterson is amazing. People are too sensitive nowadays. And maybe the people are too sensitive nowadays. I don't know. It's... sensitivity is an important thing. And I think it's something that's undervalued in our society in a sense. And I know I'm a very sensitive person, and I feel sensitive people are really able to teach other people how to be more sensitive about certain things in a sense. Like there's value in there. There's a place for sensitivity as well too. Like, I mean, obviously if there's like a imminent disaster you're facing, you don't want to be overly sensitive about something that's irrelevant to a life or death situation. But there's Darwin's law when it comes to that kind of thing. Not to say that we want to rule out the sensitive people, but it's important to, like, I don't know, awareness, I say, is a pretty high value thing, and I think sensitivity falls within the scope of awareness, but it's also good to be aware of the really big scale things, the macro things, as well as the micro things as well. So, but overall, there is quite a bit of sensitivity around polarities these days and opinions, and we're going through a stage now where there's a lot of, we're seeing a lot of polarities that are mixed up, and it's very interesting. It's fucking interesting, man. I'm using that word pretty like, I don't know. I'm using that word because it describes like how seriously interesting it is. For instance, we consume media on our TVs, on our phones, through choosing to watch various things like this. And I've got the stuff that I watch, and you've got the stuff that you watch, and I've got family members that watch other things and all that sort of stuff, but we've got these robots, these algorithms that are working out there to give us more of the information and the things that we are more likely to click on and watch. And those bits of information, those rabbit holes that we go down through the content that we consume, really impact the way we think about just about everything. And in a way, it's kind of like our education. And depending on what it is, we can formulate some pretty strong opinions about things that that can be emotional based, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it's good to be, to hold things in question, like the scientific model that I was explaining before, and sort of take things with a grain of salt, but at the same time, sort of take things with a suggestive kind of component to it. And that's like, well, that person said something that I agree with, but that's momentary. Like, you agree with them right now. Give yourself the latitude to change your mind in time. Give your friends the latitude to change their minds as well. Try not to hold people accountable to the thoughts and their way of being, because when we take somebody that we meet and we judge them and we sort of say they're like this, and then we put them in that place, you build a little box around them in your brain, then in some ways you might project onto that person a type of attitude or a type of connection that doesn't allow them, it doesn't facilitate them to grow and or change and evolve in their own way, and they're going to do that in their own way. Every one of us is going to see things differently and experience life differently, and we are going to develop individually and all that sort of thing, and that's what it's all about. Because just because someone has a totally different opinion from you doesn't make it any less valuable. It's like there's still something there, and there's stuff that you'll recognize if you don't judge them so much, and you kind of like go, well, they feel that way and they see that way, and so in a way you can kind of like hold yourself back or sort of sit back from the experience of that emotion towards that situation and that person, and observe it from a place behind yourself in a sense, and not get as involved with it, and then sort of go, oh, that's interesting. And through being able to sit with that person or that experience for a little bit of time, you can sometimes find some really cool things about the person that you would maybe not have actually tuned into had you taken the approach of just holding them steadfast to a particular judgment or something like that. Anyway, it's a bit of a rant, but that's something I've been working on lately, is just being able to sort of try to step back and watch myself in these situations. I need to drink some water. I'm like, throat's drying out here. Which is interesting. I don't know, I'm just maybe not paying attention to my throat too much and sensitive to that. Yeah, I don't know. The whole like self-observant thing has been something that I've been really keenly interested in lately. My mom bought me this book a while ago that sort of got me down this train of thought, and it was an audio book. It was from Michael A. Singer, and it's called The Untethered Soul. So it's that one right there. It was a great book. It was really good. It was the guy reading it had some inflection in his voice. It took me a little while to get over that, because it felt like he was making inflections on certain words where it sort of felt slightly out of context with what the subject matter was about. But on the same token, it was interesting because the subject matter was about observing how your mind is trying to make these opinions and see things under these certain lights, and it sort of set the stage in this book for me to really like observe even my my tendency to judge this particular reader on the use of his inflections through reading this book. And in a way, it kind of got me involved in the actual, I guess, theory or what was being taught in the book. And so that's got me down this little pathway right now with stepping back and watching my awareness, witnessing the witness, witnessing me witnessing the world. And it's a pretty fun exercise. So let's see. Spirit with mint tea. I'm not sure science and spirituality can mix. Yeah, I don't know. It's. I think they can. I think you can have a scientific understanding of things and yet still have a spiritual life and a spiritual understanding of things. And I'd say I live my own life a lot like that, but I've met people that are extremely scientific that are that don't necessarily have I don't want to say have the capacity, but don't necessarily see the spiritual side of things. And so everything is just ones and zeros in a sense, and that's fine. It's basically just a characteristic of that person. And I don't know. There might be an argument there. I'm not an expert at it, but I love science, and I consider myself a spiritual person. Maybe not in the traditional sense, but I feel like I'm a spiritual person in my own way. Yeah. Anyway, mind eyes, the mainstream media doesn't seem very honest. Yeah. I think there's honesty there, and I think there's, yeah, I don't know. It's a very interesting time, my friend. Yeah. I think it's important for, yeah, I don't want to, it's hard to give anybody any suggestions around that kind of thing. I just feel like, yeah, I don't know. It's one of those strategies I was talking about earlier. I have to think about that one. Lucky Sevens, Alt-Rock. Am I gaining weight? I don't know. I know it depends. It depends what you mean by that. So, last year, in May, roughly around this time, I was pretty much my heaviest weight that I've ever been. I was 245 pounds, and I started going to the gym. And I just decided that I was gonna stick to that. And I've changed some things about my diet. I've loosened up a little bit, maybe in the last month or so, but since then I've gone from 245 down to 215, and I've been staying around 215, 217, and around there, depending on when I weigh myself on the scale in the gym. And I usually weigh myself like once a week, and not always at the same time, so I don't know, but overall I've lost weight. And at this stage of the game, for weight management, all that sort of thing, I'm not necessarily trying to lose any more weight. My goal was initially with that whole campaign was to lose weight, and through getting involved and learning a little bit more, it became more clear that the important thing was to lose visceral fat, and that's just the fat that's like in and around my organs, particularly my liver, and everything else is just like, it could be, whatever it is. More water. Oh yeah. But since then, I've lost weight. I could lose more. I don't know if it's going to happen. I'm no longer concerned about it. Like I'm I'm happy with my weight the way it is. I still know that there's a little bit of fat that I want to lose, and but I don't know if that means that I'm going to lose weight, because when you put on muscle, you actually end up weighing heavier. It just weighs more than fat does. So there's a little bit of a counter thing going on at the gym. Putting on muscle, eating more protein, bulking up, and at the same time leaning out. It's changing some ways. My figure's changing a little bit, but the scale isn't changing so much right now. It's been staying, like I said, 15, 17 and around there for the last little while. So it could stay that way, and that's totally fine. If I drop down to 200 though, like that'd be pretty interesting. But I don't need to. I feel pretty solid, pretty comfortable right now. Anyway, yeah. Yeah, underscore. I am going to upload videos when I go visit my daughter. For sure, there's going to be some videos that I'm going to do. I have no idea how my editing schedule is going to look like when I go over there. Seeing her, like, I want to keep up some editing for sure. But there's going to be, like, you know, obviously just about any and every opportunity I get to spend with my daughter, I'm gonna be hanging out with her. That being said, like, I'm sure there's going to be a moment where I'm going to be like, okay, I gotta go upload a video and make a video, or I might run off and do something like go freediving out in the oceans of Bali, and do some exploring and stuff like that and film that. There's a couple people that I'd like to meet while I go over there, and see. Maybe that comes around too. So we'll see. Mindful Forest Adventures. I'm in your rabbit hole. That's cool. Anyway, that was it. That was that's been kind of my weight thing lately, and with all that sort of stuff. And Lucky Sevens, it looks like you lost some weight too. Eric D lost 20 pounds. Much more difficult to lose weight in your 40s. Yeah, I think so. I only really got heavy in the last bit of, like, years of my life. Just the stress piled on. I wasn't managing my own emotional state of being very well, and I was eating and overeating, and I wasn't eating the right foods, and I was stressed out, and I put on a lot of weight, and that's really where it came from. And it was sudden, like it came on quickly, and I realized, like, I felt it in my joints, and I felt it in my mobility, and I was you know, I got to a point with it where I actually felt really depressed, and I felt like maybe I won't be able to get rid of this, and I might be feeling like this crappy feeling for the rest of my life. And I sulked in that for a long time, and just stayed there, and it stayed like that for, like, I'd say a couple of years. And then it was like I finally I don't know where it came from. I just finally was like, I'm taking control of this. I'm going to the gym. I'm going to do something, even if it's 5 minutes. Like, just, I need to go there and do something. And I started going there and doing something, and it felt crappy, man. Like, it felt like I walked into the gym, and I was totally out of place. It was an unnatural setting for me. I'd never been in gyms before. Guys in there that are just, like, you know, hulking it, doing all these crazy things. And you know, I was watching myself, you know, seeing all that, and, like, feeling it, and being like, okay, well, these are just experiences that I'm having, but besides all of that, like, the reason I'm here is to work on me. And so I just said, I don't care. I don't care what other people think. I'm just gonna. This is where I'm at right now, and I'm gonna start right now with where I'm at. And I was wearing like leather street shoes. That's all I had. I didn't. I had like a leather belt and some shorts that weren't necessarily appropriate for gym. And I didn't like the way I looked in the mirror. And but I knew like I did have a background in yoga, and I understood the importance of having good posture and being able to do an exercise correctly. So I paid some money to a fitness trainer, and I said, "Look, I'm not going to give you any crazy goals. I just want to, work on my mobility, and get some strength and lose some weight and that kind of thing. I just want to get some exercises down so that I know that I'm doing them correctly. I don't care about the weight. I just want to know that I'm doing them right." And that's what I focus on doing. And like I'd go, and still to this day, if I go do a deadlift, I'm picking up a wooden stick and I'm lifting a wooden stick, because I've got something called forward hip impingement, and if I put a bunch of weights on those things, it drives a bunch of pain into my hips, and it doesn't serve me. So I don't do deadlifts, and that seems to be a pretty, even today when I go in the gym, there's a bunch of people that do deadlifts, and it seems to be I don't know, I sort of look at it as this flashy thing in the gym, in a way. It's like the ego move, but I at the same time I've been going so much that I just stayed with it, and I stayed with myself, and I worked with myself through those bits that I don't care. Like I look over at the guys doing the deadlift, and a smile comes over my face, and I'm like, fuck, man, they're just rocking that over there, and then that's great, and I feel really good for them. And I've been going often enough that I see when someone brand new comes into the gym, and I can see the nervousness and the feelings that they're going through, and I was like, oh man, I remember that, and so I feel excited for them, and it's good to see them, and that's how I feel when I'm in the gym right now. And then I see that the big buff dude that was in there before, that was intimidating me, is also feeling the same way towards the new person. Yet when I was the new person, I didn't think that at all. I thought, mind you, there's going to be some dicks in there that you meet that are just kind of like, oh, I'm going to show you how to do all this and this kind of thing. And I don't know. Sometimes you go to the gym, and you can get into a really long conversation with somebody too, which can be both good and bad in some senses. I mean, sometimes it can be good, but sometimes you can be like, I'm here to do a workout, and you can get in a pretty lengthy conversation. Then you're like, well, I don't have any more time to do a workout. I got to bounce. I got to go do other things. But yeah, it's pretty cool. I've been really grateful for taking the step to go there, despite it being uncomfortable, and just sticking with it. And I knew, like anything else, it's just like there's always that discomfort phase, and that part of it is kind of like, it's part of the exercise. It's exercising your brain, your physiology, and all that stuff at the same time. And it feels like shit, but that's the stuff that you should go home feeling like, I did it. I was there. I felt that. Like I'm reprogramming myself, and we're getting there. And that's all it is. So it doesn't matter what it is, like whether it's going to the gym, or you're learning how to fix your car for the first time, or do something out of the unordinary. If we get caught up too easily in society with what other people are thinking about us, and that makes us stumble, because then we're not focused on what it is we're trying to learn and integrate. We're thinking about that other person's thought over there, and it's pretty irrelevant to what we're doing. So it's not easy to do that, though. Like, we teach each other. We grow up in family systems that teach us to worry about what our neighbors are thinking and what our family members are thinking about us, and it totally fucks us up for a long time. And we really need to like unpack that, and work on tuning into our own heart, and just like listening to that and go, yeah, you know what, I'm gonna be new at this, and you're just gonna be new at it, and be okay with being new at it, and do that, and seek help. And if someone comes by and they're trying to push you over and tease you or do any sort of stuff, then you just recognize that that person's working through something within themselves, that they feel insecure about something in themselves, and you know, God bless them. It's just they reacted to what you're doing in a way that they felt they needed to defend something within themselves by teasing you or doing something like that. And so it it kind of makes things confusing, but if you can develop the capacity to recognize that that's what's going on, then you can kind of like put that to the side in a sense, and then focus more on what you're doing. And sometimes you need to, you know, that person that triggers you, that teases you, that like, I mean, it's happened to me a crap load since I started YouTubing, because I got on here and I was sharing things like going out and killing a deer so that I could eat it. And that just like, that was a triggering event for a lot of people, especially when I shot a deer and I didn't actually get the deer. You know, that one really upset a lot of people, but I shared it anyway. And then there was a lot of backlash for that. But as a YouTuber, as starting out on this, like, I've confronted more and more of that kind of thing. And in some ways, I'm kind of grateful for when somebody has something to say that's on the negative side. If it does trigger me, if it does poke me and press a button, then I also feel gratitude towards it, because I'm like, oh, okay. I'll ruminate over it and I'll be like, what is it within myself that I haven't quite like been strong with for me, that is being sidetracked by this particular instance right now? And so I don't know, it makes me think about that. And then I can usually go down a rabbit hole with it, and then I can be like, oh, okay, you know, that's what it is. And then I'll rethink it, reorganize, and then I'm just like, at the end of the day, I was like, you know what, I did the best I could do in that situation, and I feel good about me being and doing the best that I could do. I didn't have this ill intention about what I was doing. I didn't have these vindictive thoughts or anything like that. There was pure intentions, but it, you know, it pissed somebody off, but you have no control over that. It got me in a deep conversation about being the nice guy too. And yeah, man, or man, I'm saying man. Yeah, everybody, like, being the nice person. It's, you just, I don't know. I just like, I still stumble on that. I still look at myself on camera and I go, man, dude, you just gotta relax, man. And I see it, man. I see it when I make a video, even last week, and I'm just like, I'm still unhappy with how unrelaxed I am sometimes on camera. But I don't know. YouTubers can be their own worst self-critic, I guess. So it's fun. I'm grateful for this experience, and I really love doing this. And I'd actually like to go into a little bit of a, like a, probably a little side shoot with this kind of topic with YouTube and growing and stuff like that. And I think I might do that at one point. I don't know when. I got stuff I'm already behind on right now, so I got to focus on that. But it's a pretty cool journey, and I'm grateful for it. It's been a big medicine, and I love, like, this is amazing. I made a whole bunch of friends with you guys in here, and every now and then I run into you guys on the road, and we get to hang out in person, have a coffee together, shoot the shit, and I love doing that. And then even sometimes after doing that, I'm like, oh, I get all this anxiety built up in me sometimes, and I'm like, oh, I got like a whole bunch of other people that are waiting for a video to come out, and I really want to get a video for them, so I gotta go and make a video. But I love those in-person connections. Those are really nice. Yeah, man, life on the street. Stop putting yourself in a hole. There's something going on, dude, that I haven't quite put the puzzle together within myself. And there's always something in personal development, like when you're working on yourself, like there's always something that you're struggling with. And just, you know, you get over something and you're like, oh, that's great. And then it's like, you go on a little high, and then you run into another wall, and it's another problem, and it's like, damn it. And then you're like, if only I could figure out how to figure this one out, it would be better. And then you just build trust. You're like, okay, I'll figure it out. And then you work on it, and you might be going the total wrong direction, but if you're just like persistent about figuring it out, you will. And then it maybe take a while, but whatever, it's all good. So that's it. That was a big rant, and I think I had fun talking about that. I, it's a good time. um, okay, I'm gonna catch up. There's some good chats in here. I go on this rant, and I see these chats going on back and forth, and I'm just like, man, I just, you know, love to see what you guys are saying and sharing and all that. That's the problem with these live streams and like these bigger discussions, is that there's not a great way to have the two-way dialogue going on. But I don't know. It's pretty cool though. Makes me think about podcasts and how there's two people together and they're having a conversation and asking questions, interacting with the audience. At least when I listen to a podcast, if it's one person and they can really do a bang up job of it, it can be really captivating, and I can listen to them for a long time. And then sometimes when there's two people going on, it adds another dynamic to it. Chrome and I have talked about doing that a little bit for van life stuff, and he and I both know that's going to be a pretty big project to do, and we haven't talked about that in years, and I kind of put way off on the back burner. Partly because, to me, like van life is sort of, honestly, van life is circumstantial to me. Like I love it. I'm living van life. It's a vehicle for me, as in it provides a certain structure to my life. It in a way, it's like it's my vehicle, it's my house, it's my home, that kind of thing, and I can move around, and it's really nice that way. But I, you know, I can't say that I'm like a forever van lifer, but I can't say that I would stop van lifing. Like I don't know. I can't give you a straight answer like that. It kind of goes back to that whole scientific philosophy thing I was talking to you about earlier, where it's just like, it's difficult to have a conclusive answer about that sort of thing. I'm in a van. I love this van. It's great. Sometimes I think about a bigger van. I know for a fact that I do not want to be building a new van right now. So I'm very happy with my current one. Yeah, it'd be great to have a bigger van, but this one's great. And a bigger van also comes with a lot of challenges and new things to work out, and there's a lot of benefits to having a small van as well. Like, it's pretty nice for me to whip around with this thing, and it gets me around very easily. Anyway, something to be said for small. Yeah, this is a good conversation. I don't know how long we've been going for. How long I've been going for? Oh, almost an hour and a half. 88 minutes. So yeah, going back to the whole like catching up on things. I'm editing the tools video right now, and it's kind of a big edit because when I was filming it, I did so many retakes on certain parts, and I kind of lost track with which one I was happy with, and so I've got like, in some cases I've got like 20 minutes of one talking section where I have 10 takes on it, and I'm like, I have to go and listen through each one of them to figure out which one of those was the one that I was happy with, and it's in the moment, like, there was so much of that when I was filming, and so I'm like, it's taking a lot of time to sort through all that and be like, okay, that's it, or I'll take a chunk out of this one and take a backhand chunk out of that one and chop it here and put them together. It's not super clean, but it's gonna do, and at the end of the day, it's gonna get the job done. So that's kind of where I'm at with video. And then there's like contextual footage that I'm pulling in from other videos and stuff and dropping in there to make things a little bit more fancy and illustrative and that kind of thing. And I'm trying to make it, you know, a good video about tools for van life. And it's actually going to be a pretty long one. So that's it, but hopefully it's a lot of practical information about tools and that kind of thing for van life, and I'm sure it won't be the last one that I do, but it's a big edit. And then I've got a bunch of diving videos that I'm probably not going to share because they were just GoPro underwater footage, but I might share them I might find a way of sharing them in a different sort of back storytelling sort of fashion at some point. Because one of them was particularly very, very cool. But yeah, I didn't have a video going for it, but we'll see. And the next one's going to be this Savory Island trip that I just did. So there you go. That's what's coming down the pipe. I did have a birthday a little while ago too, so I got a little bit to share about that. And I got a pretty cool birthday present this birthday, and I'm looking forward to sharing that with you guys and trying it out. I've tried it out a little bit. Oh, there's our friend the buck again. Or no, this is not the buck. This is it's one of the does. Let's walk it up. Hang on. See her over there? She's like, she just realized that I'm here, I think, and she's like, or maybe, hang on. Sometimes if that guy's got his door open, which I think he does, they might stop and check him out that way. You guys see the deer over there? So earlier in the live, there was a buck that came by, and it on the other guardrail. There she goes. At this point in the season, they're starting to look a little less splotchy. Like their hairs and the colors are becoming more uniform. They're looking more healthy at this time. Yes, and being a hunter and that kind of thing, like, I mean, I look at a deer and I see a very beautiful animal as well. Not just a product. And it's like, same with timber. Like, I don't necessarily look at 2x4s when I look at a tree. I'm not a logger or anything like that, but you know what I mean. Fish and all that sort of thing. They're beautiful animals. Yeah. Anyway, winding down. Oh, Spearmint T, was a shark involved in the diving video? Nope, no shark. I haven't seen a shark yet. I've been reading about the sharks in the BC waters. There's there's a salmon shark, which actually looks like a great white shark. It's a pretty cool looking shark. Yeah, mean looking guy. They are fairly uncommon, but they every now and then someone does see one. Out of everybody that I've talked to that's been freediving, not a single person has seen a dogfish or a shark. And a dogfish is like a small shark. It's got 2 dorsal fins on it with 2 little spines, and sometimes they're in these big schools. And I've talked with lots of fishermen, and I used to catch them. I've caught quite a few of them in the past in the waters right out here, but I've never caught one recently since I've been on the island, and I haven't seen one while diving. I'm looking forward to seeing one while diving, though. I think it would be kind of like well, I don't know, I'm just looking forward to it. I don't know if it's going to be a good experience or like an aggressive experience. I've read a few stories where some dogfish can kind of like freak people out a little bit because they can swim at you really fast. So I don't know. I've heard a few scuba divers saying that. I've seen sea lions. I've had those guys swim right up. They're They're big. It can kind of take you by surprise because you're just like, do, and then all of a sudden it's like, and they're fast. And you're just like, whoa, look at that thing. It's so big. And they'll come swim right up to you, check you out, and then take off. I had one really, really, really cool encounter with one in this one dive, and I kind of screwed up the footage of it. And so I was just swimming around. I was looking for crabs down on the bottom, and I was on the top and this big guy just comes in underneath me, and I was just like, oh wow. And I'm like, cool. So I hit the record button on the GoPro. I was wearing it on a head strap, and I didn't realize, but I actually had it on record. So when I pressed the button, I turned it off, and I thought, oh, I'm getting this guy on camera. And it was this beautiful like shot of him swimming alongside me, and it was a big male, and we're just both looking at each other, and then he cruises underneath me, goes to the other side, and we're just like there, and then, you know, this way, and then he decides to like deke off, and he's just this huge thing. It's got to be like 1,000 pounds or something, and it's just, then he's just like swimming off, and I was just like, wow, that was amazing. And but there was a moment where I was like looking at him like, wow, this thing's like as big as a grizzly bear, you know, of the sea. And I'm like, is there going to be a problem? I don't know. For a few people got a little bit spooked out by them, but I just kind of looked at him and I thought, you're doing you, I'm doing me, and how you doing? And here we are, and we just did that, and then off you went. So, but I haven't seen a shark yet. We'll see. I'm sure the day will come and I'll see a shark. Let's see. Catherine came in. Hi, Catherine. From Prince Rupert, British Columbia. Catherine, I was just talking earlier that I was visiting Salt Spring Island, but you know that, or not Salt Spring Island, Savory Island, but you know that. Anyway, the video for that's going to be coming out in the near bit future. I've got a tools video that's going to come out first. Let me see. Okay, so TB is asking any tips for item placement in the same type of van as yours, where items would. I don't. That's that's a good question, TB. I'm putting that question immediately in my video ideas folder now on my computer. I think that'd be a really good video to make. And it's kind of a bigger question to answer, so I won't really say, but like it's there we go. I think that's it. Yeah, okay, got it. It's a big question. For me, I really, what I'm gonna do is probably do a video on like sharing the thought process that I have around that kind of thinking, and trying to pass on the thought process behind it, so that at least maybe that might plant some seeds about your own thought process, and you can sort of start to think about like, okay, like where would I like to sit, what's nice and natural for me to have, like a spot to put my garbage container, my fridge, what's the workflow going to be like. Definitely my friend Chrome has preached this a lot, and that's spending time in the vehicle ahead of time just to get used to the layout, and you sort of like, you start doing things in the van as an empty shell, and you sort of figure out where you want things naturally just by spending some time in it. And that was how I did it with mine. I spent time in the van without anything in it, and it slowly came together that way too. But then I was also like really thinking about the thought process and like where things were going, and it came down to like the square centimeter in this van. Everything became critically important where things were going to go, and there was very little wiggle room with where I could move things. My fridge had to go exactly where it is. There's absolutely no centimeter for it to go either way in any direction. It had to go exactly there. And so then there was other things that had to be built around it, and like the dimensions of my bed and my fire extinguisher cabinet and a few other things. This cabinet behind me here, where the passenger seat was, I had a bit more freedom with what I could do with that one. But yeah, I'll try to do, I'm gonna put that down in sort of my video ideas for van life, which is a little series that I want to share in the near future. Um, uh, let's see. Mine does. I get nightmares about my work occasionally. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to say about that because I'm not sure what you're talking about exactly, like work as in job or something like that. I know I certainly had work nightmares like that, job nightmares. Yeah, I hate the ones where it's like I'd go to work all day and then I'd come home and I'd go to sleep and all I'd do is dream about working, and then I'd wake up and I'd felt totally unrested, like I was just working all night long and all day the day before. That was kind of like a work nightmare to me. Nowadays I have like editing dreams sometimes. Like if I'm really entranced in like an edit, I can go to bed and then like I'll be editing all night long and then I wake up and I didn't get anywhere with it. But I might have some ideas and be like, oh, okay, I know what I'll do. Yeah. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, I think I'm gonna wrap it up. It's what time is it? It's just after 9 o'clock. Hang on, I'm gonna step outside because it's more fun that way. Hang on. Come on. There we go. Yeah. Oh. That's so nice out. I don't know if, there it is. The moon. I like this spot. I can see the ocean out there. It's kind of nice. It's a very busy spot though. There's a lot of people that come in here, come and go. Anyway, yeah, I'm gonna go to bed, guys. I'm gonna let you go, and I just wanted to fill you in on what's going on and say hi, let you know I'm still here. Yeah, that's it. I gotta get to work on this this video so I can have it out to you, and then there's more to come. Lots of love. Oh, wasn't framed properly. Someone looking for a spot. Anyway, guys, that's it. We'll see you in the next one. Take care, and yeah, much love. It was really fun to hang out. See you soon. Bye-bye.